Oh,
There
we
he is.
got Alistair this time.
Alistair joined this time. I think he heard me talking trash about him in today's stream.
Always, always. Because of our friend Panda, they sounded very similar to you, Alistair. It
They
was
really
interesting.
do though. Like in all honesty, if we added like a robotic light filter for Panda, he would sound the same.
Yeah, they would. I could definitely see them sounding the same.
I can't wait for Panda to actually listen to it for the first time, and he's gonna be like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, it'll be different. I think they will definitely be surprised by it. Because it's very very close.
Yeah, no, it's super close. It sounded pretty similar when he did the pretend Alistair on stream. It sounded pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Um, uh, what was I gonna say? My mind just went. Oh yeah, but it doesn't matter because we can edit all that part out at the beginning. Um,
But hey, welcome on into the TV Tavern, everybody. Did you all grab your mead? We have a new New Year's Ale edition that we've been kind of giving out. I think it's a new recipe. I'm not 100% sure. The barkeep's been kind of keeping it under wraps because she doesn't want us to know like what she's doing,
oh
which
yeah,
is fine.
what's the recipe? What
Uh,
did I miss it?
you, no, she hasn't shared it. I've tried. I've tried.
Oh,
Okay, I've
okay,
tried,
okay.
but
Might have to use my music, my
you might
bard
have to.
powers to you know make her give me the recipe.
I
Uh,
tried like sneaking into the back to find the recipe card, but she hasn't written it down. And
what
I
was you
almost
keep on the?
activated.
Oh, that's what you meant. Sorry. What?
Yeah. Well, and then I almost activated a trap, and I was like, oh god.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
you gotta be careful back
don't
there.
mess. Yeah, the barkeeps they've seen everything, and I'm pretty sure they're ready for almost anything. So
Yeah.
don't.
Well, I saw one that was implemented for Alistair because Alistair apparently has been trying to steal some of the more finer teas lately. I saw you, Alistair. Don't try to pretend and stare all like blank-eyed with the microphone in your face. Because if you don't know what I'm talking about, I saw you as I was trying to. I mean, I did not see you as I was trying to steal the recipe card. Not at all. We neither of us were in the back. What?
Well, I did see Alistair get caught and released just like a little bunny,
Mm.
as he was trying to get more tea. It was adorable to watch him just get released on that little cage. I don't know how he fit in there, but the barkeep was is very good at catching Alistair. It was great. I think Craig
Yeah.
popped a chuckle too while you were
Also,
watching this.
I think Craig was laughing because it actually. I think the barkeep also used like a spell to pull out all the money that Alistair had.
Nice.
And I'm not surprised that I felt for Craig because imagine all the tabs that Craig has paid for Alistair so far,
I
and
told you that Alistair had money. He's like rich people are rich because they don't like to spend money. But so
mm,
that means so there he goes to show Alistair has money. He just
yeah,
makes Craig pay. Poor Craig.
and poor Craig over here is thinking that he's taking care of his good old cousin, and he's just like using him cheese. Man, yeah, everybody, welcome on in to the TVT Tavern. I'm your host. I'm a co-host, Ambu, and I'm joined by Silver.
Hey, yo, this is Silver Blaze X,
Yeah.
the other handsome co-host from the two handsome ones. I'm the least handsome one, but
No, don't. We're not gonna play
shh,
the humble
it's
game here.
okay.
Don't start the humble game. How dare you try to pull this humble card over here? No, it's equal. It's equal. Let's not play that. But no, we're we have been the last couple times you have been in this tavern with us. We have been talking about the Boy and the Heron, which is we everybody says it is the quote unquote magnum opus of Miyazaki because it's totally his last movie, even though it's likely not. But
Probably not.
it's a beautiful movie though, and there's so many layers of details in this movie that is almost kind of like blink and you miss it, or like you have to do a lot of research to find everything that he references in this movie.
Oh yeah.
But to kind of recap for those who may be just joining in and jumping into the tablet for
Last
the
time
first
on
time.
Dragon Ball Z. Sorry.
Oh no, oh god, I remember that voice last time on Dragon Ball Z. Vegeta, with his Super Saiyan-like ability, decides to take on Frieza for the first time. But no, so The Boy and the Heron is loosely based off of the book How Do You Live? That was the book that set Miyazaki towards his career of becoming a storyteller and animator. Now, this movie isn't really based off of it so much as it's a honestly more of a love letter to the memory of how do you live. But it's a story about a boy named Mahito who him and his dad move to a more remote area of Japan because Mahito lost his mother to one of the many Tokyo fire bombings that happened during World War II. Um, his dad ends up marrying his aunt, who now is telling him to call her his mother, who also has a baby. It's been less than a year. I'm still gonna point that out. And what we find out is that there's this weird heron. It's called a gray heron, and flies around. It's different. It turns out after multiple situations that it's a special magical heron, like a person in it, and they get sucked into this brand new world that I think is meant to be like purgatory, so between the land of the living and the dead. And Mahito is sets out on a journey to find Natsuko, which is the aunt but now stepmother person. And I think the last we were at was when Mahito was sitting with the heron and Kiriko to try kind of put the water under the bridge so they could work together to find Natsuko, because that was what the heron was told to do by the cosmic dude guy that was up top, who I think is Mahito's like great grand uncle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have to squash their beef so that way they can continue the journey.
Smash burgers.
Smash
Sorry.
burgers?
I'm kind of hungry, not gonna lie. So you said smash their beef. I was like, ooh, smash burger sounds good.
Oh,
right now.
dude, smash burgers are becoming such a huge trend right now.
Why though?
On
You're right. Like everybody is like trying to get into it, and I'm sorry to like get off rail us with as we're trying to get the episode started, but I am hungry, and a smash burger that this dude was reviewing from New York in like a New York smash burger style shop.
Oh
It
man,
popped into my
yeah.
head where like it's like three smashed patties right on top of each other with like
Yep.
thick layers of cheddar. Like,
Yep.
bro, give me right now.
Dude, I saw.
Oh.
Okay, real quick. Also, I saw a TikTok one for an LA smash burger place. $22 for these like three thinly smashed burger patties. Where
Oh my
like it looks
God.
like a regular cheeseburger, but it's supposed to be so good because, like you said, it's got that nice layer of like cheddar between, and
Mhm.
oh, it looks way too good.
Yeah.
Janine, Janine and I are trying so hard to do like a no spend January and only buy essentials. Like
Yeah.
the hot pot that we had last night was our first time eating out this whole entire year. And we only have like one time we can go out to a restaurant every other week, and then one time we can get like fast food or something every other week. So like we have 4 times we can eat something outside of the house. But like, man, when I saw that, it was just like, I want a burger so bad. Oh, it was like a
Ah,
spicy
man.
one too.
So I've been trying to do the same thing because I was looking through as I'm starting to get ready for like prepping my taxes and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I was looking at my spending for last year on eating out, and it was incredibly high. And I feel like I need to start like finally making like a budget. Not because like things are a little too tight, but mainly because like I think I'm spending unnecessarily. Like I'm spending a lot of money in groceries and then spending a lot of money in going out.
Hmm.
And it shouldn't be like that. I should just like be like, you know what? This week I'm going to have a budget for groceries and I'm just going to eat like whatever's in the fridge. And then next week I'm going to make sure that like Monday through Friday I guess I just go out and eat somewhere. It doesn't have to be fancy,
Hmm.
but just to kind of change it up, and I don't have to worry about that weekend cooking. But yeah, dude, like it's gotten crazy with the spending on eating out. So
Yeah.
what I did this week for groceries is I actually bought stuff to make a smash burger.
Hey, that's better than, I mean, honestly, good practice. And once you have it down, you can make them at home if you're ready, if you want them. That's smart. That's something I need to do too, is like, I want to work on learning how to make honey walnut shrimp at home
Mm,
because, like, the places that we
yes. Oh
have,
my
right? Like,
God.
they're so expensive for that stuff. Like, I think the place
Ugh, I
that we
love
go
that.
to, yeah, like there's this place in Door that we order from DoorDash through DoorDash, where it's like I can get garlic noodles and honey walnut shrimp, but it's like $35 for both of those, and it's
Screw
like,
that, bro.
yeah, so I gotta learn how to make both of those, that way I don't spend. So I get you on that. So I wish you the best of luck in making that smash burger, because I'll I need to do the same. I need to get back into making good burgers, and not just like thinking, oh,
Yeah.
just slap it on here and call it a day. But yeah.
Yeah. No, no, dude, because realistically, can I make better burgers? Yes. Do I want
Mhm.
to? No. I am tired, man. Okay, I am tired, and all I want is a very quick, easy, warm meal. But I can guarantee you, I can probably uh, you know m- uh, just beat some of these restaurants with the burgers that I can make. I know I can make some delicious burgers, but
Oh
it
yeah.
takes work. It takes work, dude. It takes work.
Mhm.
I also bought the ingredients for this soup that I shared with you not too long ago. The one from Quincy's Tavern. I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember the one I
yeah.
sent you.
I remember
I
that
think
one.
it's from it's the one with the gnocchi and the sweet onions. I'm excited for it. My mouth's already watering. It's watering because I'm hungry. I haven't eaten anything. Well, I ate like a soup this morning because I'm kind of recovering still a little bit from a cold. But I really am looking forward to making this soup because I did make it last week or
Hmm.
at the end of December. Anyways, uh, so I can't wait to make it again. It was delicious. It's also really cheap to make, dude. It's got sweet onions, mushrooms, gnocchi, uh, flour, chicken stock, and water. That's it, guys. Like it's super easy to make, and it's so filling, and your heart will end up being so happy. And
Hmm.
I think that barkeep, we should probably start making that soup here too.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I agree.
yeah, but going back to the going back to the plant and the heron. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It happens. This is kind of like how it goes with most discussions, right? Like you kind of, I mean, look at the stream today. We went from like we jumped all over the place. It happens. But yeah, let's go back into it. So I'm gonna be honest with y'all, chat. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, so some of the details are gonna be a little bit more sparse. But there's some things I'm gonna remember
We're gonna make
as
our
much.
own version of it.
But like one of the things that I think worked in that conversation between with Mahito and like um and the Gray Heron was the call, like Kiriko calling them both out to try to get them to like deal with it. Like pretty much it was a conversation of you got your goals, you were told to do what you're supposed to do,
Mhm.
but you need to like suck it up and work together, because at that point, like the Heron, who's really ambivalent in everything, he's not loyal to anyone for the most part. It's like he's reluctantly loyal to the cause of granduncle. He basically was ready to just dump Mahito and just call it a day. But then Kiriko's like, nah, you got called
Yeah.
to help him. So that when that happened, it was like, okay, now I have to help you. So I think after that happened, they left Kiriko to do her own thing. And didn't he grab hold of didn't Mahito grab hold of the heron and then they flew off to go find the blacksmith?
Yes, 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 yes. Because they squashed their beef, and then they headed off.
Yeah.
Yeah, since they had to repair his hole on his beak. That sounded
Hmm.
wrong. The
Oh,
hole
that's
that was
right.
made in his beak.
They were walking. I think they were taken by a boat first to the next island, and then Kiriko was like, "You're on your own." And then they were walking, and then he was like, the only way that my beak can be healed is if the person who shot the arrow fixes it." And
Yeah.
so Mahito was making a little plug for the the hole, and it's a fun
Yeah.
little moment because he's like, "Not too sharp there, not too sharp. That's too big. Maybe a little bit less like this." And
Yeah.
and he wanted to be aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. Yeah. But for a second there, the heron tried to turn on him, but
Hmm.
before he tried to go at Mahito, um, the heron did like realize that, like you said, it was the cork was off, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Actually, before I murder you, can you fix this?" And they all just kind of stop for a second. The tension goes away, back to, all right, let me even it out, and then, of course, he doesn't attack him, but it was just kind of funny that he's like, oh, I can turn back into the board. I have the bird. I have all my powers now. I'm gonna
Yeah.
wreck your ass, Mahito.
And then it ends up that he doesn't. And it's just a fun little moment because it's very clear that like the heron is like, I don't want to help this idiot, this kid,
Yeah,
and still does in the end anyway because they end up getting to the blacksmith's house. And then as they look up, this is the part that made me want to laugh so hard the first time I saw it. But
mm,
like, they get to the blacksmith's house, and then there's giant freaking parakeets. They're just up there vibing, looking around, and you're like, I'm sorry, what? Why are there giant parakeets that are here? And that's when I believe the heron tells Mahito like they'll eat you or they'll kill you if they see you. So the heron agrees to be a distraction for Mahito to get into the blacksmith's house. So now that they had a game plan in mind, I'm pretty sure what I think the heron was thinking was, I'll do this and I'll actually leave Mahito to like his own devices. I'll be a distraction, but I can still fly away and say
yeah,
bye to the kid, right?
yeah.
And so that's what happens. The heron was like acting all like clumsy, like, oh, look at me, I'm here or whatever. And then the parakeets are like, ooh, dinner, and then started chasing towards him while Mahito's like bolting for the blacksmith's house. He gets in, he closes the door, and then what we see is, surprise, surprise, more parakeets in the house.
Those parakeets were so creepy to me. But I think that was the whole
Mhm.
point, right? Of them being that sort of cringy and like, why were they dumb though? Like I feel bad that they made out these parakeets to be so stupid. I don't know if
Well,
that was like meant to be.
yeah, I think that was kind of part of the idea of what happens in this world, right? Because we look at the pelicans. You remember his whole monologue about how kids are forgetting the next generation is forgetting how to fly and everything. And I
Mm,
think part of that was meant to be symbolism of like the fear of change between generations. But also, I do think it kind of adds to the world's lore of like the longer you're in there, the more stuff that you forget that used to be natural, or
mm.
like you become something else because of being stuck there. So I think that's what happened was they kind of just they're losing their brain cells, I suppose, or like not losing their brain cells, but they're changing to fit the world and become like the predator or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm blowing this up with hot air and pretending like I've got something
No,
profound to
I think
say.
they do make no, I think they mentioned something like that where they just had to survive.
Hmm.
So they did what they had to. They made like their little society because I think some of the things that we also saw. I don't know if this is getting a little bit too ahead because, again, like Ambu said, it's been a while now since we've seen the movie. But there's scenarios where we actually see that these animals that are part of this like ecosystem inside the tower were actually normal animals
Hmm.
before. I think I got ahead on that one now that I think
No,
about
you're
it.
fine. I mean, we're gonna get there anyway. It's not that far from where we're at right now. But you're right. Like we see that the parakeets have built their own society for survival. I think that is a big thing that is part of it is like everyone is trying to learn how to survive in a world that probably doesn't have as many resources as we'd like to think,
Mm.
especially because it's like a interdimensional space from other universes. Because remember, I think Kiriko said that like the stone is a connector to all different universes and different dimensions. So I'm not surprised that that happens. So to further into that, like they tell him that Natsuko is upstairs and they try to lead him up there. And what we see both comically and also like slyly is that they've got knives and other weapons in their hand because they're getting ready to gut Mahito. They're like,
Mm.
look at this funny little boy thinking he's gonna come in here and find what he needs, but free dinner. We did it. We didn't have to
Yeah.
get DoorDash. DoorDash just delivered to us. We're all set. We're getting ready to feast. And then he's like, wait a minute. She's not here because they lead him to a table. And then they're like, she has a baby. Why would we kill her? Because apparently they've got morals. They're like, look, we eat things. But
Yeah.
we just, if they got a baby, then we're not going to kill them. Them's the rules. So
Right. Right.
that was the part that was interesting to me was like they they had kind of like that rule of like, well, you've got it. She had a baby, so of course we couldn't murder her. But here's a little
Yeah.
boy, and they're like, well, we're gonna murder you. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess it's a. I guess they still kind of have like a good sense of like not killing a female that's pregnant. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
like a sense of like nature or a sense of society that rules that they've created for themselves. I don't know, but yeah, you're
Could
right.
be.
I guess it's good that they have that logic, and that way she didn't Natsuko didn't get eaten. I don't know.
Yeah, but what happens with that is right when they're getting ready to put the beat down on Mahito, his lady Emmy, who's the fire shooter that we talked about in the last episode with the
Oh
wada
yeah,
wada and like
yeah.
everything, she pops in. She's like, "Come here." Basically, it's like, "You silly boy, get in here so that way you don't die." So she pulls him through the fire that is like a interdimensional tunnel and then brings him to her house. And she's like, "This is where I live. This is whatever." And then she makes some food, which is it was like bread with jam and butter. And this is the first thing we get a hint of who she is, because he says something that seems innocuous at
Oh
first,
yeah.
but as the movie goes on, you realize who she is. She says something like, he says something like, "This is how my mother used to make it." And you could think of that as a throwaway line, right? We could just assume that that's just like oh, this makes you think of her. But as we all know, everybody in the tavern, this movie is more foreshadowing and gives you hints as to what's going on. And so she tells him that, like, he says that and it's throwaway, but then they start talking about he's looking for a stepmother, which is Natsuko, and then she says her younger sister, and everybody here is like, she's your younger sister, but how old are you? It's a weird, it's one of those things where it's like, it makes sense at the end of the movie why she says that, but it's definitely like a moment of like, she's your younger sister, but you're like 14 and she's like in her mid 20s.
Yeah.
What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah, and a lot of things start connecting with each other because going back to last episode, which I think we talk a little bit about the dad, right?
Hmm.
When he's talking to one of the grannies, and she says that Mahito's mother also went into that house, disappeared for a very long time, and then out of nowhere, she just popped out of nowhere, came back looking the same like she did when she first went missing, looking just healthier and happier, right? So now that we're starting to, see again how, he meets up with her like this, and there's all those little cues and everything, and you're like, oh shit, this is Mahito's mom. except like he stepped into some weird like world where it's the past or like there is no
Mhm.
time, sort of, right? Where he's getting
Yeah.
to meet his mom as a kid. So technically the mom's not dead in this world.
Yeah, I think it's because his world time isn't a thing because like it's a
Yeah, time is
connector.
irrelevant.
Yeah, because it's connected to everything pretty much. The
Yeah.
way that time works here is you can meet stuff from like decades ago that you would never know because spoiler alert, the cosmic dude is his great granduncle,
Yeah.
so time doesn't apply.
Who's still somehow alive. Yeah, right, exactly. You're right.
Yeah, yeah. So
But then after that, where do they go? Oh, they head out right to the Parakeet
mhm,
Society to go ahead and try and save Natsuko.
yes,
And
and
then,
this is
oh,
go ahead.
good.
No, no, please. I'm interrupting. Go, go, go. Wait, Silver,
Yes, Abu.
please go.
No, I will not be
No,
bullied. Not in
listen.
this tavern.
I have been talking so much during this whole entire
That's good
table.
because, again, realistically, guys, I'll be honest. I'm starting to forget the movie. Like, there is things that if Ambu doesn't say them, it doesn't like proc like a memory in my mind. Like right now, I forgot completely what was happening after that, and I was like, oh wait, that's right. They go save Natsuko. They see this whole little society of the parakeets that they've built. Slowly, you can see it's basically like a little
Hmm.
community that they've built. It looks like people growing vegetables. There's people just like cleaning things out. They have like a sewage system, which is like, okay, all right, cool. At least
Yeah.
they're, that not that gross. Because if anybody's ever owned birds, bird poop is the worst thing next to cat poop. Okay, it smells horrible. I mean, so
Hmm.
them having like a sewage system, good, because I can only imagine how horrible that place stinks. But yeah, so Mahito and Lady Hami are making their way through, trying to go unnoticed and trying to make it to the what's it called? What was it where they had
Okay, so
Natsuko?
yeah. So what happened was they were going through the tower, which is what we established in the other episodes, is that it's built around a giant comet stone that connects all the different dimensions and different times in space. And they're going to the I think the pregnancy room, which is its own
Yeah, yeah,
separate little place, and nobody is supposed to go in there. You're typically forbidden from going in there, but
right.
Natsuko's in there to deliver. And so Lady Emmy tells Mahito that her powers are limited here because they're they are in respect to the stone, because the stone decides like whether or not it will allow you access or not, and it has its
Hmm.
own sentience in that regard.
Hmm.
So they sneak past the parakeet space, but some parakeets sniff them and they notice that something weird is going on.
Yeah.
But like you see like that they have their own like line of people bringing different fruits and different stuff. They have like giant a communal hall for eating, like a dining hall. They have like their cooks. They have people doing stuff. Like they have their own society that's built in, and they get through, and then they find Natsuko in this like little hidden area where there's like a curtain to indicate like do not trespass. Because we all know that like if there's a giant curtain or there's something blocking your way, that means do not enter unless if you got permission. But Mahito's like, nah, 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 nah. I can go where as much as I want to. I'm not a part of this world. I will do what I want to do. So he walks in, and he finds Natsuko on the bed, which is really like a stone tablet with like a thing over her head. It's like paper stuff. I'm not. I know it's like a part of their Japanese culture, but I'm not 100% sure what it is because I haven't done enough research. Chat or I called you chat like I'm in stream. Sorry, I haven't done enough like research to know about that part, so forgive me for that. But what's key about this moment is he's telling Natsuko, "Let's go home. Let's go back to where we're supposed to be," and
Mm.
she wakes up angry at him. This is Natsuko her pent up. I think this moment is supposed to represent her true emotions about
Yeah, how she
having
really
to.
feels. Yeah.
Yeah, like because she honestly think about it. Like sure, she fell in love with his dad, and sure, they like probably trauma bonded, and then that's how they did the ditty, and they got married, and they had this baby, right? But how do you take care of a kid who doesn't want to accept you as their mother, really, or who isn't ready to talk to you, who isn't really ready to bond with you, who isn't really to ready to share that type of intimate relationship that a mother son has? Because it's a big thing to ask someone to do, especially when they're still mourning. I think in
Yeah.
general, like you ask any
It's a
kid,
big
that's gonna be
ask.
real. Yeah, right. And so,
Yeah.
I, so like you said, it was her true emotions because she was angry at him, like go away, I don't want to deal with you. I don't think she says like I
I hate
hate you.
you. I
She
think
did
she
say that.
does. I think she says she hates him. Yeah, I think she's like super blunt in everything. I don't want to see you. I hate you. Why did
Mm-hmm.
you? Man, she says some very cruel things, but I think even Mahito understands why she's
Mm-hmm.
saying them. But uh, but yeah, she just like is completely blunt about everything.
Yeah. And this is her moment of like you said, it's her true emotions. It's a moment where we get to really see that they both share that sentiment of like we're being forced into this. And I think that's why Mahito is willing to call her mother at this point, because even though he recognizes that it's not, she will never be like his real mom, it's a moment of recognition between the two. And another theme about this movie is buying into the lie, right? Like with falling into the trap, with finding his quote
Hmm.
unquote mom laying there. There's always something about the lie, and there's some sort of truth within it. Well, within this lie of calling her mother, there's this truth of Mahito recognizing that they both are being forced into this dynamic that they have to share now. And it allows them to actually get closer in this moment because that's when he calls her
Yeah.
mother. She realizes who he is because he's also tearing off the paper is falling off and trying to push him back because the stone is realizing he's trespassing on sacred ground. And so she finally is like, Mahito, like, you need to leave because you're gonna get hurt. This is dangerous for you. So we see that moment between them where it's a recognition of one another, and she tries telling him to run away before it's too late. Unfortunately, he gets zapped by the stone, I
Yeah.
believe, and collapses. But we kind of see them finally connect. It may not be the perfect connection, it may not be the mother son dynamic that she wanted, but at least it's a step towards forming a bond between them. And
Yeah,
it's a
for
huge.
sure. And go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, and it's a huge significant moment for them both. That's it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just going back to the whole situation that they're both in. It's not fair to ask. I honestly, it just feels like I'll take it back. I said at the beginning of this podcast, this not this podcast, this episode, this series of episodes that we've been doing for the Boy and the Heron, that there hasn't been like a villain. I kind of feel now that I think about it a little bit, the dad is probably the closest to being a villain
Mm-hmm.
because the dad has been the most selfish out of everybody,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, because he's always been he's the one that has moved on so quickly after his wife's death, immediately began a relationship with her sister.
Mm-hmm.
uh, has forced his son into this weird dynamic, has forced this woman, Natsuko, into also this weird dynamic where she has to play the mom. Like, why does she have to be the mom? Why can't she just be stepmom or aunt, whatever?
Yeah.
Just let's just call it what it is. But I feel like the dad has been forcing them two into these roles that they both were not ready for at all
Agreed.
whatsoever. And you called it right now when you said that they both had like a relationship came out of this whole trauma bonding thing. The dad and Natsuko, you're probably right. Like she probably was destroyed by the loss of her sister,
Hmm.
and he was hurt too. And it was very unhealthy that they started this relationship in order to cope with the situation.
Hmm.
You know, if you think about it, it's like getting two people that are very hurt and damaged, or like getting like like getting two people that are sex addicts into the same room, and then coping and healing by just having sex with each other because they're not having sex with anybody else. They're sex addicts, but they're not having sex with anybody else, but they're still having sex. You know, it's
Hmm.
still not good. So, but then we wouldn't have had, I guess, a movie technically. But whatever. What I'm saying is, the dad is the villain here, guys. I'm just say this: the dad is the villain. I was wrong. There is a villain. To me, the dad is the villain that caused all of this. Had he not been this selfish and not as mindful, I think that Mahito might have not have even been in the situation where he met the Heron and you know went through this entire thing, this entire
Hmm.
exercise, and that woman would have not have been pregnant with her sister's husband's
Yeah.
kid. You know, let's just be honest, like, right? Like that, none of this would have happened. But again, we wouldn't have not had a movie.
Well, and then also there's the whole discussion on in Ghibli movies in general, where it's about fate versus free will,
Feet?
right?
Oh, fate. Sorry.
Fate, not feet, fate.
Oh,
No, but like in general, think about it, right? Like there's been a lot of discussions on fate in a lot of Ghibli movies, specifically Miyazaki's movies, where there's the whole like fighting fate or dealing with fate and our limited ability to do things be to get outside of our destiny. And so I
yeah.
think it like you said, it points out like in the end it was meant to happen for Mahito whether or not he wanted it. But my whole thing that I would argue is, and this is the thing I love about Ghibli movies in general or Miyazaki's movies is like movies like this or like Mononoke no Hime or even like The Wind Rises. There's no real villain in a like in a conventional way, but you can always argue that someone is a villain in some perspective or another. And so like I get what you're saying with the dad being very selfish and self-centered and like kind of exploiting trauma to form a new unhealthy relationship. It, in my eyes, I feel like he isn't a villain in the sense of like he's way too self-absorbed in his own grief and in his own wants and needs that I don't think he'd be able to understand what he did wrong. Because even as we go through the movie, when he hears about where Natsuko went to and where Mahito went to, because he does ask and they tell him he went to the tower, and then like his dad's doing the whole like
Typical man,
wanting to
right, guy? Right,
yeah.
ladies? Huh? Typical man doesn't know what he's doing wrong.
But like,
Kidding.
but think about it though. Like he always thinks he's doing the right thing, like taking Mahito to school with in his fancy car because nobody else has that. Or I'm gonna go beat the shit out of this little of the family that beat you up, and that's my way of taking care of you. Or I have to go rescue you because he's in there, not really accessing and further exploring everything that he's done. Because I think you're right, Silver. If he would have taken a moment to reflect on himself, where he would have been like, I haven't really gotten over my wife, that and never pursued that relationship, he would have been fine. But the thing that makes me realize, you just blew my brain here. And here's one other thing. I think he never explored his grief, and he's used Natsuko this whole time. Because remember what they say about his aunt, or I guess now the stepmom. She's a spitting image of his mother.
Oof.
So the guy never took the time to actually get over his grief. he used Natsuko because she reminds him so much of his dead wife that instead of actually like working through his like grief and his
Yeah.
mourning, he just
Yeah.
moved on to her and used her. I don't
Yeah.
even. I guess my argument could be is he doesn't really even love her. He just has used her as a means to distract himself from actually dealing with the grief,
Yeah.
and that sucks for Natsuko. And now like that makes me feel for her even more because this dude decided I'm not gonna work through what I need to work through. I'm just gonna stick myself in someone else who reminds me of my dead wife.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. Again, it's a very toxic relationship, guys.
Hmm.
It if Moosey was to pass and we had a kid, and I got with her sister, Wiggles, let's say, and because Wiggles looks so much like Moosey, like in real life, how fucking sick does that make me?
Hmm.
Like to the point where unfair, sick to the point where it's unfair to Wiggles because I'm never gonna see Wiggles for Wiggles, and I'm never gonna let go of Moose because that's all I'm gonna see in Wiggles. It's unfair to my kid because my kid's gonna be constantly reminded of his mother's death, right? And I'm never
Hmm.
gonna heal because it's like a placeholder. It's like replacing a new chess piece with a
Hmm.
different one.
Well, and
It's just,
also,
it's
oh,
horrible.
yeah. Well, and to further that, it's not even fair to Wiggles, or in this case, Natsuko, because now I think it puts Wiggles and Natsuko both in positions where they think they have to live up to something, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what you're using them for is to be a reminder of that person. And so it is unfair to them as well because now they have to live up to stuff, which I think is why she said, "Call me mother" to Mahito, and why she feels she has to be so motherly. And that's why we see the resentment in that moment, is because, like, for her, that's a moment where we see she sees that she's being used to live up to
Hmm.
something that she never should have been having to live up to. She should have always
Yeah.
been Natsuko, not his mother.
Yeah.
And it's depressing, honestly, when you think about that.
Yeah. No, it's extremely depressing. It's sad. It's so, so sad. So, yes, the dad is the villain, guys. that's my that's
Well,
my
well,
opinion. That's where I stand. And yeah, prove me wrong.
yeah. So anyway, to further on, uh, Emmy sees her. Emmy tries to say like to the stone, "Please let me pass and let me go to my sister," and starts telling Natsuko to come to her and like, "Hurry up, get going! Like, come on, we can save you." And then the stone's like, "Bruh," and then zaps Emmy and makes her pass out as well. So now we have them passed out, and the parakeets find them, and it's like, "Oh, that's great! The parakeets have found them." So for that, we get a shot back to the parakeets, their civilization, their thing, or is it wait, no, 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 no. I think there's another flashback for
Yes.
Mahito, right? No, Mahito has another flashback, I think, with his mom about not being afraid of fire. I think that's when she says that, right?
Yes.
But
They're
then
not. Yeah. Right. The fire thing.
yeah, but
True.
then he
True.
wakes up and he realizes that he's like shackled to a wall. He sees the parakeet grinding the freaking butcher's knife,
Ready
getting
to
ready
chop
to
them up.
yeah, and then you see like the bones and the blood and the other junk that's like on the side. But
Mm.
then we see our good old friend the gray heron pretending to be a parakeet in line, totally inconspicuous. Nobody's
Uh,
noticing the little bobbly eyes that are moving along his head. And he sneaks into the butcher's area, knocks him out, and then knocks off. This guy's got strength. I don't know how, but he's got like some ridiculous strength. Smacks the chains off of Mahito's arms, and then says like, "We need to hide and we need to get moving because we need to get you out of here." And Mahito's like, "What about Lady Emmy?" He's like, "Emmy can take care of herself." And then they there's a line of parakeets coming. They both knock out like four parakeets in a row. It's
yeah.
like they didn't need to do it, but Mahito's just like, "I'm gonna get you fuckers back for what I just went through."
For real. For real. For
So
real. No.
it was so funny.
Good. Yeah.
No, that
No.
was
It,
it.
it, it was. Uh. Um. Sorry, it's just that's funny. It's true, but no, you're right. Lady Hime is gonna be fine because realistically, she's the one with fire powers, guys.
Oh my
She
god,
can
is it
roast
Hime or
those
is it
chickens if
Emi?
she wanted to.
Have
What
I
was
been
that?
saying the wrong name? Have I been saying the name wrong the whole time? I keep saying
Lady
Lady
Hime?
Emmy. I
Oh,
keep saying
Hime.
Lady Emmy. I'm so
Himi.
sorry.
You're
So
fine.
Lady Hime. Sorry everybody. I have been saying her name wrong the whole freaking
Dude,
time.
we're on part three of this. It's been a month since we saw the movie. I don't even know how you remember half of the things you've remembered so far. Which, by the way, guys, I promise my promise to you moving forward is next time we do another movie again, I will make notes. I will do better. I promise. I'm
Same.
sorry.
Same.
I'm sorry for letting Ambu literally carry us because that's what Ambu's been doing so far. Thank
Well,
you,
you're
Ambu.
also bending to like my recording time, so if anything, it's my fault as much as it is.
Shh, no one
So,
needs to hear that. No one needs to hear that shit.
but no,
Don't worry about it.
yours, but it is Lady Hime. So forgive me for that. But please carry on, Silver, with what you're saying.
No, so they, they make their way out, but as they're trying to escape, which also, by the way, really quick, the Heron, though, look at this change of personality. He was first like, all right, kid, you're on your own. I don't like you. I would rather eat you and kill you. And now it's like, he's risking his life for him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They've actually now become friends, like genuinely little partners. The Heron now genuinely cares what happens to Mahito. It's crazy how they've just kind of grown on each other. Like they genuinely are now having each other's backs because
Yeah.
the Heron didn't have to go all the way in, pretend to be a parakeet, save him, risk himself from getting chopped up and killed. He didn't have to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're escaping. They're trying to get out of there, but they find that Lady Hime is actually encapsulated in this like Snow White thing. You remember Snow White? Was it Snow White?
Yeah.
Yes. When it gets
Yeah.
or Sleeping Beauty, whatever. Disney character that gets encapsulated, is being carried over. She's like in some weird suspended animation, passed out, whatever the hell you want to call it. She's being carried by two parakeets and being led by the parakeet king. It's like a white parakeet.
Yeah.
He's like super buff. Clearly, he's like the alpha parakeet here.
Yeah. He's like a
And
military. He's a king. I think he's the king of the parakeets.
King. Okay, yeah, yeah. The Parakeet King is leading these two parakeets. They're carrying Lady Hime in this weird capsule thing, and their plot here is to not kill her, but to turn her over to uh, the grand uncle
Yeah.
in ways to be in his good grace, right?
Yeah.
And they go through this like weird staircase that's super like rotten and old, and
Mm-hmm.
it's slowly breaking apart. And Mahito and the Heron are like just chasing after them, and it comes to a point where like they also fall off because the Parakeet King is basically destroying the staircase so that they're not able to follow them as
Yeah.
they're going to the room where the grand uncle is, or this well, not a room, it's like a weird like
Space.
interdimensional space within this
Mm-hmm.
interdimensional space.
Yeah. So real quick, if you don't mind me interjecting, Silver,
Not at all.
I totally messed up on the dream sequence where he was shackled. He actually met his granduncle, great granduncle, in the dream, and he was telling him about balancing in the world, living for another day. Because we watched him balancing the little blocks on the tower or whatever. Remember? And he's talking about how
Mm.
like,
Mm, 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 mm.
and telling him that he wants him to take over in the future for that because
Yep.
he needs him to move forward with it. So it's him planting the idea of like learning how to balance the tower and everything. So that was the sequence. And in this, and so now jumping back to where we are, yeah. So the Parakeet King sees Mahito chasing him, so he's like slashing every little wooden thing to make sure he can't follow them. But and then they present Lady Hime to the granduncle to try to basically take control of the tower and take control of the world because
Yeah.
they're like it's enough that like we've been left to figure our lives out on our own. We should, and to the whims of this man, we need to take control of the tower. And he basically tells the Parakeet King, I need more time because I want to make Mahito the person, my
Hmm.
successor. And so they let her out, and she's like, grand uncle and everything. And then they hug, and it's a little embrace. And then I believe him the and so then Mahito and the Heron find another way into the space, and then they go in, and I
I'm
think they
trying to
get
remember right
followed.
now.
They get followed by the Parakeet King because he sees them, because he's like, I need to make sure and see what's going on. So he follows him. He tells his soldiers to go back and report that he's doing what a king should do. Basically, he's telling them like, if I fail, just know I'm doing this to like for our kingdom or whatever. And so they do. And oh wait, there was something else I missed. It's not enough of a detail. Whatever. It's basically it was before they find
What is
Natsuko.
it?
They find the door that leads back to his time period. Remember? Because the parakeets do
Oh
find them, and
yeah,
then they
yeah,
open
yeah,
the
yeah. True.
door, and then Mahito his dad sees him. He's like, Mahito, come back here! But then if Mahito lets go, he can never go back to the world. But he's with Hime also on the door, and then the parakeets start flying out a little bit, and then
Oh
they
yeah.
they climb back in. So that was a whole other thing that led to them being discovered by the parakeets. But anyway, so the Heron and Mahito get to where the grand uncle is on his little island where he like balances everything. The king is following them. The Heron notices that something's following them, but he isn't sure. And they get there, and Lady Hime, or no, before they get to the island, Lady Hime finds him, and she's like, "I'm so glad to have you as a son." Big surprise! And Hime is Mahito's mother from the past. That's why she had the smile on her face when she came back, like days later, or however long it was. She was happy because she got to meet her son, who gets older, hence the to the older Mahito line that is in the book for How Do You Live, which is why that was so significant. There's the payoff, everybody. Congratulations, we
Boom.
have
We've
it.
made it full circle.
Right? So yeah, so then they go to the island to meet up with the cosmic grand uncle dude. One of the other things that we notice is as they're climbing to meet him, they find blocks on the ground, and Lady Hime says, "Don't touch them. You shouldn't touch them because they're like connected to the stone, cosmic stone." And of course, what does Mahito do? He's like, "You can't tell me what to do," like every other teenage boy does,
Rip.
and then puts one in his pocket. And then what happens after that, Silver? Why don't you lead us in?
I would love to, but I don't remember, Ambu.
Okay,
My
fine.
memory is
So,
very
fine. So what
woozy
happens
about
is
that one.
they see the giant seed that is basically the one that like quivers, is the one that holds the world in control. This is the area where they see the where in the flashback that Mahito had with his uncle, he sees like where the stones are dropping into the different worlds and everything for the connections. And so he's sitting at this table with like these new building blocks, and he tells Mahito like, you're still pure. You should build a tower to keep this world alive. You should take over my role. And that's when Mahito drops the bombshell of, and he gives him like I think three different items to use for his tower. And Mahito says, "I can't because those have malice in them." And then he says, "You passed the test. Good job. You're still pure. Use these blocks to actually build it." And Mahito tells him, "I can't do it because I have malice, because of hitting my head with the rock," and shows in the scar, and then we see the scar. And I think this is significant because it's again talking about the balance of life, right? Like there's no such thing as pure good or pure evil. That with purity, quote unquote, comes chaos or malice, and that in our lives that they have to reflect one yin and yang, right? That's basically what
Yeah.
it is. There's yin and there's yang, and there's no one or the other because yin cannot exist without yang, and so on and so forth. And so we see this moment where he's basically telling him, "I can't do what you asked me because that's not realistic. That's not how life is." And so he basically denies it, and we all realize, oh no, this world is going to end. And then, of course, the Parakeet King, who has been following them this whole time, decides, you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it then, I will show you, and then tries to balance like 13 different things to make this world survive. And the way that he builds it, because of his haste, it starts to fall. And realizing that his fate has just been now sealed because he fucked up, he cuts the table and cuts the blocks, which causes the world to collapse as it is.
Yeah.
And that's when Mahito, the Heron, and Lady Hime are running for dear life because it's like, we need to go now because we can't. This world is no longer going to be alive. And
while being chased by the Parakeet, or the Parakeet King, sorry?
I don't know if he chases them anymore. Oh, he follows them, but they're just running to survive at this point. And the Cosmic Grand Uncle has been resigned to his fate, where he allows himself to be swallowed up and disappear. And so they get to the door, and and then Lady Hime says, I can't go with you, because she's trying to respect the time and the rules of relativity. And that's when Kiriko joins Lady Hime back in their world, and Mahito and Natsuko run towards their world. And that's when all the parakeets get out, the pelicans get out, everybody is like running for dear life, and it's like this world, the tower collapses, the world that world disappears, but everything is back to as it should be. And one of the things that Mahito tries to tell Hime is, if you go back, you're going to burn in the fire. Please don't go. He's trying to warn her because he realizes this is his mother. So he's like, please don't do it. Like, you're going to die. And she says, I'm not afraid of fire. So no wonder why, I guess, he hears her saying, come rescue me. Or like, I guess that explains why she was still in the hospital, is my guess.
Or maybe she didn't die, you know? Maybe she still had her powers as an adult, and maybe she moved on into a different universe. We'll never know. Yeah. The possibilities are high, you know, considering how things have gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how, he's still, I don't know, I mean, because I feel like they still hold some sort of power, and I feel like the stone that he kept, is going to play into some. Though, have there ever been like a Miyazaki part 2 of a movie? I don't think so, right?
No, but there's rumors of a Nausicaa sequel coming out, but we'll see on that. That's a whole other discussion.
Just because of the stone that he's kept with himself, and the Heron making a comment that it still holds some power, right? But I don't know. I guess we'd have to see if they make another movie that follows this sort of storyline. By the way, did you mention how Soichi, the little doll of Soichi, gets slipped into Mahito's pocket?
Oh, of Kiriko, you mean?
Was it Kiriko?
Yeah, it was Kiriko.
Oh, okay. The granny,
yeah,
right?
Shoichi is the dad. That's.
Oh, yes, right. Soichi is the dad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Kiriko, right? The old lady, but also we saw the younger version of her. But the younger version of her, I think she slips the little doll of Kiriko into Mahito's pocket, and when they cross over back into this world with Natsuko, Kiriko turns back into herself, because I think I see her spawn out. I remember, at least in my mind, I see her spawn out of his pocket. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
Poor Kiriko, dude. That old lady lived, man, through that entire adventure.
But yeah, it's
But then they get found, right, by the dad after the house starts imploding. The parakeets start turning into actual parakeets. The pelicans start, being released, right, as the house is collapsing. All the animals that were trapped in that world are starting to get released, which is good. That's good to know that they weren't, they just didn't collapse also with that world, but they were actually given the opportunity go out into the real world and be free.
Hmm.
But then
And
what happens after that? Sorry.
so then they move away from the house and back to Tokyo, I think. So, well, that could just be simply because now that Tokyo is being rebuilt, his dad could build his factory again and manufacture stuff. I think it's supposed to be significant in moving forward in life, and that the house is kind of representative of like staying in mourning and not letting go
Mm,
of the past, but now they are. And yeah, so one
right.
of the you pointed out that the stone might still have power, and that's what the Heron tells him is like, how have you not forgotten the world yet? Because most people who leave there forget. And then he's like, you still have the stone, don't you? He's like, silly boy, it'll wear off eventually. So yeah, that's pretty much how it
Mm,
ends is them leaving because it ends the way that it begins with the movie where he's like a year, 4 years after whatever we move out or something. That's what he says. And so yeah, that was pretty much the Blend the Heron, and that's what. And here's the thing, guys. Everybody here at the tavern, and everything. I know that this movie has received a lot of division amongst like Ghibli fans and a bunch of people. There's like it's a violent swing back and forth between people who don't understand the movie and then people who like get it, right? And we've talked about this in the last episode where we talked about how the movie isn't that hard to get because it's not so much the story that is being told so much as it is the symbolism and the themes and the motifs. And that's what I feel like at the end of this movie what we're supposed to understand is like it's about moving forward in the face of grief. It's about forming relationships and how they form outside of that and moving forward. It's about the love and the hope that comes with creating a world of your own hands. It's a love note to Miyazaki of it to him to like his own journey and an introspective journey. It's about the hope of people continuing to create beautiful worlds that we can slip into. There's so much to this movie where it's not so much about understanding so much as it is about finding your own interpretation of it. That's why I think I get it as a movie.
yeah. No, it's for sure. I mean, it's been an interesting movie that has had a little bit of everything, and yeah, it could be very controversial, and yeah, it has a lot of things that are kind of cringy and weird, like we've discussed again and again. Um, but hands down, a movie that I'm looking forward to being available in streaming and for purchase
Hmm.
to own because it's a good one, man. It was good. Again, I get it. Not a lot of people were able to digest this movie, but I have enjoyed it completely. My only
Yeah.
regret is not watching it a second time while it was still on movies. It's still out on movies right now that I can go technically go watch. I think there's like a few theaters here in the city that I could probably go look for. Um, but I think it. They said that we should be getting the ability to buy it very soon. As a matter of fact, I think I saw in iTunes you can actually pre-order it already for
Oh,
$20.
wow. Okay.
But I really want a physical copy of this movie. I'm not the type of person that buys anything physical anymore. I used to, but
Hmm.
this is one of those movies. Just like, also by the way, manga. I used to buy a shit ton of manga. I don't know about you,
Hmm.
Ampu, but like my adolescent and like early 20s Silver used to spend all of his paycheck in manga. Uh, and I just don't buy it anymore. I should probably. It'd probably be the best. But there's a very limited amount of manga and anime that I actually buy physical copies of in movies. This one is definitely going to be one of the copies of movies that I'm going to be buying, getting a physical copy of
Yeah.
because it was a great movie. Again, I really enjoyed it, and after thinking about it again regarding like the relationship that was caused as a result of Soichi's selfishness is crazy.
Yeah.
And just realizing that there was a villain in this, at least for me, right? Comment, guys, tweet at me, tell me, am I wrong? Do you think
Mm.
Soichi was a villain? Would you consider him a villain? I would. I just don't see how he wouldn't be a villain. from the point of him being stubborn, selfish, and that oh my God, what's the word? I know it in
So,
Spanish. Soberbia. Basically, flaunting his money. You know.
yeah,
Uh,
narcissistic,
yeah. Let's go. That's even
very,
better. Yeah. Yeah.
very vain.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. All of these evil, toxic traits makes him the villain to me in this movie, and
Mhm.
which could have been avoided. He ended up hurting two people that were very important to Lady Hime. If I was Lady Hime, I would have probably just like I don't know. I would have used my fire powers to burn the shit out of Soichi because Soichi's selfishness hurt his sister, her little sister, and
Mhm.
her son. Like
Yeah.
this man is this man's horrible, guys. I don't know why I didn't think about it before. This man is a horrible human. Horrible. Again, Natsuko is an adult. I'm not saying that she isn't. Could she have said no to him? Yes, but maybe she was very vulnerable. Sometimes, and some of you may or may not relate to this, right? But sometimes we're very vulnerable to moments in our lives,
Mhm.
like a loss of a family member, where all we really want is for the pain to go away. We just want the hurt to stop, right? No matter what that means. And maybe that's what that meant to her, right? The way for her to have the pain go away was to be part of this man, be in this man's life. I don't know. Who knows, right? Because she must have been younger too, though, right? How old was Natsuko?
I don't think it says in the movie, but I think she's in her 20s or early 30s, maybe. Right? Because if he's like, I don't remember how
Fuck,
old.
that makes it even more gross.
Yeah.
Because if she was the younger sister
Hmm.
and Mahito was like at least 10.
It
You know
is.
what? Japan, never mind. I don't want to do the math. Take it back. Never
But
mind. I'm not going to go down this hole.
yeah,
Nope.
but like, I don't know. It's just this movie in general. There's so much that's said about it, right? Like at the end of the day, like it examines the way that grief, through good and bad ways, can bring people together, forging forward even in the face of uncertainty, and like in the face of having to reckon with things, right? Because I think in this movie, what we see is Maito and Natsuko are forced to move forward and accept who they are to one another, especially in the moment when she's in the birthing in the birthing room, right? Like we talked about, where her true feelings come out and Maito recognizes it, and then like calling her mother snaps her back, and it's that moment where the relationship really does grow from there. Um, was a huge part. And then if you think about it too, I think this movie is a reminder for us and for kids that and for teenagers. I don't know if kids should see this movie, but like teenagers, that like your imagination and your creativity can build beautiful worlds for us to see and to explore and to never let go of that creativity. I think there's a part of that in this movie. Um, because I think in a way there is an impassioned plea about moving forward with wanting to do the things you want in life and to continue to venture into creativity as much
Yeah,
as it
no, for
is
sure.
an introspective journey of himself.
Right. No, I mean, I think kids can definitely see this movie as long as they don't get explained the deepness of this fuckery.
Yeah.
I think it should be fine. I think that if all they gather from this, it's like, oh, look at all the colors. Oh, look at all the animation. Ooh, it's cool to have an amazing imagination and be creative. Cool, but everything else, oh gosh,
Yeah.
no.
But you know what? Everybody in the tavern and those who are listening, let us know what you think about this movie. Honestly, I'd be curious to see how you all feel about it, what you gathered from it, what stands out, what at the end of the day, like what are some things that you picked up on? Because I feel like all of us have something we gained from it if you've seen it, and it could be vastly different things. So I'm fascinated to see what you think.
For sure. All right, guys. Well, we will catch you another time. Make sure you pay your tab. Make sure you are kind to your barkeep. If not, they will probably trap you in one of their many traps. So please don't try and pull a fast one. The
Mhm.
cats will also follow you and they will bring you in as well. Any other closing notes for you?
And like I always say every single time, if you like us, please subscribe to us, follow us, whatever platform you may be using. And if you don't like us, well, boo on you, but also send your haters to us because we'll take them in. We'll bond over that hate on that hate. We'll sip on your haterade any day of the week. That could be a new
Mm-mm.
meat for us, making haterade special, haterade ale. But really though, everybody, I think it goes without saying that we wouldn't be here without you. And we want to thank you for your support. Those in the future who randomly discover us and decide to go down our rabbit hole, and those who have been following
Good
us from
luck,
day one.
motherfuckers.
Yeah. But really, thank you everybody for being part of this journey because we wouldn't. I mean, we'd still have fun with this. Let's be real here. But
Yeah.
a lot of this at the end is through your support and through your listening because we have a great time. But also, check everybody. We have a Twitter account. We are more than happy to hear about topics you think we should explore. We're happy to look into things because we love to talk. That's part of being a podcast, right? Is we love to talk. So let
Did
us
you
know what
just
you
call
think.
us narcissists? Okay.
No, no. But seriously though, we have a good time exploring things and looking into the motifs and symbolism and all that stuff. So let us know what you think. If there's something that's like coming up, you're like, this sounds like a Silver Nambu thing, tell us and we'll go check it
Yes.
out. 100%.
All right, guys.
All
Adios.
right. Take care, everyone.